Welcome to Military Wife, Life and Strife, the podcast where we get open and honest about all the struggles of military life. And welcome to the community that has your back no matter what. Come get real about the strife with me, your host, a military wife. My name is Heather, and today I want to get real with you about reintegration. This is an episode that I promised a long time ago. I did an episode on deployment and planned an episode on reintegration, and then it just took me a really long time to get to it. I apologize, but I promised and it's here. First, I want to give a few updates about our community here at Military Wife, Life and Strife. We had a very busy summer, which is why I kind of took a little hiatus from recording episodes. I actually had planned like 3 or 4 interviews over the summer, and we personally did not PCS. We went nowhere. We were in the same place. However, all the other people I was trying to interview PCS'd, and it just ended up being a crazy summer for everyone. So we had to cancel and reschedule like nobody's business. And now we're getting back into the groove of things. The other big thing that happened is our favorite babysitter PCS'd. And so we've been on the hunt for new reliable babysitters. We have a few now and we're good. Because for those of you that don't know, I record this, but I also homeschool 3 children. And we're pregnant with number 4. Ta-da! For those of you that are just listening and can't actually watch the podcast, I just showed my big giant belly. I'm very, very pregnant, 7 months along, and baby's coming soon. We're very excited about baby number 4, but basically it's been busy in our house with homeschool and summer and PCSs that weren't even ours but affected us. So here we are. We are back. We're refreshed. I have a lot of really great interviews planned and some really great content planned coming your way, and I'm very excited about it. But first, I need to make good on my promise on this reintegration episode. So it's been a while since the deployment episode came out. So I want to recap really quick that it was mostly about during that time, what it's like on the home front. Because that's what I can speak from, because that's what I've experienced. At some point, we will get some insight on what it's like from the other side of things. But it was about, how to have a good, healthy deployment, how to communicate well and keep a relationship strong during a deployment, because it's hard to be apart for 9+ months. I don't think I mentioned it in that episode, but I often refer to pregnancy and deployment being kind of similar. Bear with me, I will explain this. It's not just the 9-month-long thing, because first of all, not every deployment is 9 months long, but for an average 9-month-long deployment, it's very similar to a pregnancy. I split it into trimesters. The first trimester of pregnancy is when you are feeling sick and awful and your body is getting used to all these new hormones, and it's rough. It's what my cousin referred to the first trimester as dreary. I thought that was a very good term. The second trimester is cheery. That's when you kind of get into your groove, you have a bit more energy, you've got your rhythm, take advantage of that. And then the third trimester is weary. By this point, you are just exhausted and ready for it to be over. By the way, that's where I am right now in this pregnancy. But deployment is kind of the same. From my experience, all 3 deployments kind of had these little sections. The first few months is just you getting into this new routine, and it's awkward and it's hard and there's a lot of tears because you miss each other. Maybe that's just on my end. It's hard. It's just a hard little season to go through as you're adjusting into a new normal, new routines, whatever the case may be. The second trimester of the deployment, if you will, is that cheery time. That's when you're in your groove. You've figured out your rhythms. You've figured out what you can drop off of your plate. You've figured out what you can handle, and you figured out how you can handle it. Like, you get into a good groove. And then the third trimester of the deployment is that weary time where you're done. You're done doing it all by yourself. You just want them to come home. You are tired and you're ready for the end. But what we're going to talk about today is that magical fourth trimester. So if you don't know, in pregnancy, they talk about first, second, and third trimester, but that fourth trimester that people sometimes talk about or sometimes forget about is after the birth of the baby. It's this whole readjustment period. It is hard and messy and emotional, and that's kind of what the reintegration process is like. At the end of a deployment, the soldier comes back home, and there's this whole transition period, and it doesn't have to be a moment. It's not a reintegration moment. Like that homecoming moment that you see in all these beautiful videos, they always make me cry. All these beautiful reels and TikToks and whatever of soldiers coming home and surprising their family. It's so sweet. It makes me cry. That moment is beautiful and it's wonderful, but that is not what reintegration is. Reintegration is a whole process. It's a whole time period, as long as it takes after that, for getting back to a new normal. It's going to change all over again. And it's not necessarily going to change back to what it was before the deployment, because both of you have changed a lot. 9 months has passed. If you have kids, the kids are older. Like, they're into different stuff. There's a lot of changes. And both parties, the ones that were at home and the ones that were deployed, need to get used to this new normal. So I have some good tips on how to have a healthy reintegration time period. Some of them are from my own experience. Some of them are from other people's experiences that shared with me. And there's some really good advice in there. So I hope this can help anyone who has never been through a deployment or never been through this reintegration period to kind of know what to expect. Or for those that have gone through it and maybe it didn't go so well, here's some things to think of. Or for those about to go through it, here you go. Hope this will help you out. First of all, I already mentioned it, but go slowly. This is not going to be just a moment of reintegrating back into life. It's going to be a process. It's going to take some time. Give each other time to get used to all the new routines and rhythms and all the changes that have happened. And communicate. I mean, this I feel like should go without saying. This is like the best advice in any marital situation ever. As a married couple, you should always be communicating a lot. Communicate honestly, communicate openly, and communicate often. The biggest advice I got from someone was communicate early as well. Like before they even come back from the deployment, you should be talking about what that reintegration process is going to look like, what that time frame is going to look like. I think it was my husband's third deployment. We finally got good at that. And we talked about, what we wanted to do after he got back. We planned some date nights. We planned a weekend away. At this point, we kind of knew what to expect in terms of what that homecoming and reintegration would be like. But we knew that we needed to plan ahead and make time for us as a couple. And so communicate that with each other. Be open with each other, but also be gentle when communicating with each other. When the soldier comes home and you're trying to tell them, that's not how we do things anymore, that's maybe not the best way to communicate with them. A phrase I saw that sounded really nice was, here's what worked while you were gone. It's a very gentle, kind way of saying, like, things have changed and here's how we're going to do it now. Another communication tip is communicate with extended family as well. Parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, whoever you need to talk to. I'm sure everyone wants to see the soldier when they come home. So we made sure to communicate when that would be. We planned the trips back home, and we planned the times where they could come visit. So it wasn't overwhelming all at once, but it worked really, really well. Okay, the next little section of tips is expect mixed feelings. It's okay to have mixed feelings after a deployment. I mentioned it in the deployment episode, but sometimes it's kind of nice to have your own schedule and routines and have your own time to yourself. And it's okay to be happy while your spouse is deployed. I know it sounds silly to say that, but like, you can give yourself permission to be okay while they're deployed, and also give yourself permission to feel really sad and miss them while they're deployed. Both can exist at the same time. It's the same with reintegration. It's okay to be so happy to have them back and be so excited, and also feel a little scared or wary or annoyed with them because they're doing things wrong because you've gotten used to other ways to do things. Like, those are both fine. Those are okay things to feel. Just expect that there might be some mixed emotions and talk about it. Again, be open, be honest, communicate about it. It's okay to get support. I'm going to lead this into another point about using military support resources. It's okay to get support. If you're struggling with these mixed feelings, it's okay to use the support that exists for military families, because this is a really weird thing to be apart for 9 months and then back together and expect to be a happy little family. It's hard. It's a transition. So there's resources that exist for a reason. If you are not on a military base, like for reserve and guard units, this might be a little different, but on a military base, I'm going to speak specifically from the Army side of things because that is just what I'm familiar with. But I'm sure there's an equivalent on every military base. There is an organization called Army Community Services. So probably something similar at other bases. If you know it, put it in the comments. Please share with our community. ACS has a ton of resources. My favorite resource that ACS has is MFLACs, Military Family Life Counselors. Normally they have them at ACS and they have them in any military schools for the kids as well. These are free counselors that you can use and you can talk to, completely anonymous. They don't have you sign in. They don't have your name anywhere. You can go and talk to them for free anytime about any issues, feelings, emotions that you have going on, anything you need help with. And I love using the MFLACs because they're in the military community. They get it. They understand all the weird feelings that you're having. It's nothing they haven't heard before. It's nothing that they cannot help you with. So use the resources. Another resource is family readiness groups, or sometimes called soldier and family readiness groups. There should be one with your unit. Sometimes there's a really active group. Sometimes it's not so active, but it exists. There is a roster in every unit that has all the names on it of all the family members. Whether you have been contacted to be a part of it or not, probably not, because for some reason, every soldier checks the box that says don't communicate or don't email my spouse. I don't know why. So check it. It should be something you do even before the deployment. If there's a deployment going on, there's probably a really active SFRG. And so make sure you're plugged in with them. They can help. Even just having people to talk to that are going through it with you, it's so helpful. Also, normally after a deployment, there will be workshops or couples retreats that get planned, or sometimes a military ball, something to look forward to help you guys reconnect. We tried to take advantage of all of those things. Personally, as a couple, we really love the Strong Bonds retreats. I am not sure if this is military wide or if it just happens to be where we were stationed or if it's an Army thing, but you guys can look it up. I'm sure there's other marriage retreats as well, but these Strong Bonds retreats are wonderful. It's normally a free weekend where it's covered by the Army. because they know this is like something they pour into because they know how hard deployments are on marriages. So they pour into the family unit through marriage retreats because that's important. And so there was one year we got to go stay at a hotel in Destin for 2 days for free. It was beautiful. Honestly, that was the first one we went to. And we only signed up for it because we wanted a free weekend in Destin. And we loved the retreat so much. It was actually really helpful. And so now any chance we get, if we can do a Strong Bonds retreat, we will do it. There was one recently we got to do. We're in Louisiana. We got to go to Baton Rouge and get a free weekend in Baton Rouge. The hotel was all right. Yeah, it was okay. We got to see LSU. It was cool. And we got free childcare, which was lovely. And the retreat itself, amazing. It's always great. The favorite one that I have heard about, I haven't been able to go yet, but in our area, there's a couple different Great Wolf Lodge locations close by. By close by, I mean within 4 hours. And there are units that have done their Strong Bonds retreats at the Great Wolf Lodge. That sounds like a fun time. I believe there's extra stuff that you have to pay for. If you want to do, like the water park side of the Great Wolf Lodge, you do need to pay for that. But for the most part, they will cover most expenses and they'll provide free childcare during the marriage retreat session. So totally worth it. Look it up. Find out if you guys have access to Strong Bonds retreats because they're awesome and totally worth it. Also, something to look out for, some resources on a military base. I don't think this is at every base because I don't think we had it here, but sometimes Child and Youth Services through CYS, you can get free babysitting hours or free hourly childcare hours, either during a deployment or after a deployment, so you can use it for date nights and things like that. So look that up. Make sure you know whether or not you have that because you should use that for sure. If you have kids, don't skip out on those free childcare hours. Okay, another tip for reintegration is, and this should go without saying, but I feel like it does need to be intentional, is to tend to the couple relationship. I was just talking about the retreats. That's a really good way to do it. Intentionally spend time reconnecting as a couple. Plan out date nights. Plan out a weekend away if you're able to. You can do some low pressure activities like go for a walk after dinner or go to the park as a family, things like that, where it's just a natural place to reconnect where there's no pressure. That's nice. Because sometimes also the pressure of wanting to reconnect can kind of make it feel a little awkward, especially, I'm going to be totally open here, when it comes to intimacy. That can feel really weird. It can feel really forced and you don't want it to. Sometimes it's really easy. It totally depends on the couple, but be patient. If it feels awkward to reconnect or if it feels awkward to be intimate again, just give it some time. It's okay. It's okay if it's not super exciting to reconnect with your spouse straight away. Just be patient with yourself and be patient with each other and give it some time. And again, be intentional about it. Know that you do need to reconnect. You've been apart for 9 months and it's weird to just jump back in where you left off. Be patient. Everything's going to be okay. This is a tip for if you have children. They are also going through all these transition periods with you. When it's that first trimester of deployment and you're transitioning into different routines versus that fourth trimester of deployment, the reintegration period where you are getting back to a routine. Like I said, it's not going to go straight back to how it was 9 months ago. It's going to be different because with kids, they have changed. They're 9 months older. They're into different activities. They've learned new things and they are probably really excited to also have the soldier come back home, but they might also be feeling some of those awkward or angry or so confused feelings with reintegration as well. I've had to listen to mom this whole time and now I also have to listen to dad. Who do I listen to? Dad's saying different things than mom is saying. It's hard. It's hard on the kids. And so be patient with kids' reactions. I kind of have similar advice for kids is communicate with them. Tell them what's going on, tell them what's coming up, tell them what is expected. I know that you had to only listen to mom this whole time, but now you also have to listen to dad. Like, have those conversations with them and include them in stuff. Doing things like parks, an afternoon at the park. That's a low pressure activity to reconnect. Game nights or dinner nights or some kind of activity out and about, bowling. Take advantage of all that and do that with the kids as a whole family. Just low pressure activities to reconnect are really, really good. Kind of along that same thread, I want to talk about respecting the changed roles. This was something I think I struggled with for a little while, and I got some really good advice from someone. This is going to sound really silly, but what I mean by changed roles is when my husband was deployed, I was doing everything around the house. I was cleaning, cooking, taking care of kids, fixing things, running all the maintenance checks on everything. Like, it was all on me. And I didn't necessarily do a great job, but I just got used to like being the one in charge of everything. And so when my husband would come home and try and do something in the house, I was like, oh, don't do that. No, I got it. And it was, but maybe that's just an issue with me. I have some control issues. But that was something I had to really learn a lot about. And the advice that my friend gave me, it sounds so silly, but it totally works. Like, start in your mind assigning jobs to the soldier that has just come home. So for us, she said, start with trash. Like, have him in charge of taking the trash out. It's something so silly, but it's like a simple task that you can give them to do and you can take it off your shoulders, and then it gets easier to like start sharing the load again. I hope that makes sense to you guys. It was hard for me to let go of all of the tasks, but I also needed so badly to let go of all the tasks because I was exhausted and I couldn't do it all myself. We're a team on purpose. A marriage is a team, and sometimes getting back to that team effort, it's a process, and it just took me letting go little by little and trusting him. That was the thing. I just needed to trust that he remembers how to be a dad, and he remembers how to be a husband, and he remembers how to cook in our kitchen. Like, it's so silly, but like I just was so holding on to all those little things that it was hard to let go. It's also important to recognize and appreciate what each individual person has accomplished while on their own. Because again, this sounds silly, but like sometimes when you're apart, you forget that they're like living a whole life as well. Like, my husband was over there still cooking meals and taking out trash and covering maintenance and still working every day for 9 months. He was still accomplishing a lot, and he also changed a lot, and he was also exhausted. And we both needed each other to help accomplish all those like daily tasks that we were just used to doing on our own. But for some reason, I would forget that my husband had still been like living a life over there, and he was still very capable of doing all these things. And as soon as I started realizing that, I've made it easier to just like let it go. It's okay if he doesn't do it exactly the way that I've been doing it all by myself for 9 months, because I can't keep doing it the way I was doing it anyway. It was exhausting. So let that teamwork come back into play. Slowly let it go, and it's okay. There are probably people out there that cannot relate at all to what I'm saying, because they're not control freaks like me, I guess. And they can let it go, and it's totally fine. That was a me problem for sure. Okay, the last tip I have, and this one, it was so beautifully put, this advice that someone gave me, is celebrate the return, but don't force togetherness. I hope that makes sense. Like, celebrate the reunion and be excited again. And this is going back to the mixed feelings. It's okay to celebrate that reunion. Be excited about being back together again. Plan the things that you want to do, but don't pack it too full. Don't plan too much, and don't expect too much. Don't force this togetherness. Yes, you guys missed each other, but you also still need rest, and you might still need alone time. I know there are some spouses that go the complete opposite direction. They're like, great, you're home. I'm going on a trip all by myself. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Like, I need some alone time. Because sometimes that's exactly what you need. After you've been on for 9 months at home by yourself with kids and a job and a dog and whatever else is on your shoulders, when the spouse comes home, you just need to leave and be by yourself. Maybe that's what you need. Communicate with that and make sure both are on board before you just peace out. But it's okay to have a balance. Like, celebrate the return, but don't force togetherness. Have a balance of self-care and alone time and family time, but also know you don't have to be on all the time anymore. Like, you can step back a little bit and relax, but be realistic. So this is one of those things that you will need to communicate very well ahead of time to know what you guys are able to give each other. There was one deployment, my husband and I think it was what we needed to do, but it was a really awkward homecoming. Like a couple months after my husband got back, we were going to PCS, but then he was also going to do training in between. And it just didn't make sense for the kids and I to stay in a town that was 13 hours from family while he was deployed and then in training and then just PCS. So we moved back closer to family during the deployment. Not everyone does that. Sometimes people do. For that deployment specifically, it made sense for us. But it meant that when he came home from his deployment, the kids and I came and we visited him. We had the homecoming. It was great. We spent a few days together. And then he stayed and finished his reintegration process on the base. And the kids and I went back to where we were staying so I could go back to work and we could go back to the life we'd been living while he was gone. That we were still going to be there 3 or 4 more months because we were going to PCS soon-ish and he was going to go to training. So it was this awkward time of we didn't really get a good reintegration time period. But then he got some time off work. I think it was around Christmas. So he got to come spend time with us. And that was where we had to reintegrate. But it wasn't even in the location where we were going to live. It was this weird transition period. In some ways, it was probably not the healthiest way to do a reintegration. But ironically, for us, it was one of the healthiest reintegration periods that we've ever had. It was because that was the one where we figured out how to communicate ahead of time and we were working on our marriage and we made plans to do things to work on our marriage and we were reading books together while he was deployed and doing Bible reading plans together while he was deployed. And so it was not your typical reintegration period and I don't really recommend doing it that way. But for us, it was what we needed just in that season and we made it work because the biggest thing is no matter what you go through in marriage, military or not, you're committed to each other and you communicate with each other and you're intentional about pouring into your marriage. And so whether it's issues at work or issues with family or a military deployment, just be intentional about prioritizing the marriage, communicate a lot, and be nice to each other. That's really the summary of what all of this is you're a team. You're married. You want to be kind to each other and get through this weird transition period together, but just do it as a team and you'll be fine. I would love to hear if any of you have any funny reintegration stories, send them my way or put them in the comments. I would love to hear them. Stories like my neighbor who adopted 3 dogs while her husband was gone, or my friend that forgot to start the car and it was dead because it hadn't been used in 9 months. I know there's plenty stories like that. But tell me, what is your funny reintegration story? How was it awkward and weird, but funny now because things are fine now? To connect with others in the community, follow me on Instagram and join in our questions. You can leave comments on there. Tell me your funny stories. And subscribe to this podcast if you'd like to hear more military stories told by your military shunahee. Thank you so much for listening. I am grateful for you all. This is Heather, signing off. I'll catch you next time.